Also greet Umkhonto Wesizwe Liberation War veterans and their convener and their executive. I know it's interim, but we want to greet you. Then let me greet Premier Wetu, Comrade Nomusa Dube, or Ambassador Nomusa Dube. Yes, when I was Foreign Minister, I appointed her as Ambassador to Czech Republic. So once an ambassador, always an ambassador. Also greet all the MECs, where sports, arts and culture, agriculture, where education has just gone to deal with the crisis. Let me greet the mayor, even though he has stepped out, and greet everyone who's here, the officials from different government departments. Well, it's an honor to be here today, especially in this city, because this city has lots of important milestones in the history of our struggle. Not very far from here, there is a place called Khongela. Some of you may not know what that place is. The real name of this place called Khongela is Khangela Mankengane, and that was King Shaga's palace. And not very far from here is a place called Nanda, where the first president of the ANC, President Langalibalele Dube. And of course, a bit further, the new president, Nkosi Uthuli. So we can mention not very far from here, Dorothy Nyembe lived in Lazi. So this place has a rich history. But also, Premier did say that discussions about Umkhonto Wesizwe, but from 1973, also some of us will remember that the workers' strike that started here at Coronation, that really shook the country and began to light up the consciousness that was beginning to flag, and motivated a lot of us, that led to 1976 and so on. But let me just say that, inspired by the generations of Umkhonto Wesizwe, which was inspired itself by the Freedom Charter as well. And I want to quote something from the Freedom Charter that I think is very relevant to what we're doing today. And that's, amongst others, the Freedom Charter declared that the national wealth of our country, the heritage of all South Africans, shall be restored to the people, and all people shall have equal right to trade where they choose, to manufacture and enter all trades, crafts, and professions. And of course, MK veterans must be able to trade, to manufacture, to enter professions, as the Freedom Charter said. But also, we know that MK veterans have a special place in the history of this country. And I just want to quote our late commander, President O.R. Tambo, when MK was celebrating 25 years. And he had this to say: Let us today accord proper place and recognition to the General of MK, who we know as Umgwenya, who by force of circumstances and to the face of such diversity became the core of our regrouping and the torchbearers of our revolution. With superhuman dedication to the cause of our people, they held aloof our dream and lived with only one purpose in mind: to get back into our country, to be enjoyed once more in the bosom of people whose servants we are, and to pursue the revolution. That's what he said about MK. And that's what MK indeed was, with superhuman dedication to the cause of our people. So it must demean all of us, it does. In fact, as Ukonvina was talking, I was feeling the pain when he was saying, you are on your own. Obviously, telling the story of MK, military veterans and general military veterans, and it must demean all of us. But MK veterans, again, quoting from our commando OR, said, "It is inconceivable for liberation to have meaning without a return of the wealth of the country to the people as a whole. To allow the existing economic forces to retain their interest intact is to feed the roots of racial supremacy and exploitation, and does not represent even the shadow of liberation." So clearly, until you are part and parcel of the mainstream of the economy, until you have a decent life, we cannot really say we are liberated. We can only say the struggle continues. Now, I have a disadvantage talking after the Premier, because I come from a non-implementing department. I only come from a coordinating department. So I will not list the litany of things that we are doing as COGTA in terms of individual projects that refer to MK veterans. But as a coordinating department, this summit will be something that we'll have to take to the different departments so that they can be part and parcel of implementing the resolutions of this summit. I will also take what Program Director Nonkonzo said about land to the Minister of Agriculture. Unfortunately, I was just appointed a few days ago to come here as I'm acting Minister of Agriculture. I'm acting in Togo's place. So she is abroad at the moment. So I'll have to tell her that I committed the department to certain things. And I'm committing to take to her as a resolution that MK and military veterans generally are entitled to land like everybody else. Actually, we're all entitled to land, because what can you do without land? You can't even have a house. You can't have a house, you can't have a business, you can't have a school, you can't have anything without land, even before you go to land for agriculture. So land is a centerpiece for every activity, and it's an asset that really all human beings should have access to. And of course, that's why the colonizers, when they came, the first thing they took was land, because they knew that land was what you need for development. And for themselves, they felt that they had to take our land. And you, as military veterans, fought so that that land can come back to the rightful people. So it's inconceivable that you can be excluded. So I think it was an oversight from whoever was putting up that list. But today, my short period of being acting minister of land and agriculture, I commit. Well, the question that we are about here is really about the welfare, economic participation, and economic participation, amongst other things. And I think we don't need to go far. There are countries around us that we can use as case studies who have done a lot for military veterans. Zimbabwe, Namibia, Mozambique. We can go to Vietnam, our friends. So I think we need not to be seen as if we're inventing the wheel. Others have implemented programs that you are just asking us to implement. You're not asking for charity, you're not asking, and I think it's something that we ought to be ashamed that we have not done enough. And I'm sure all of us who are here and those who are not here do feel that we have to do more. And of course, as COGTA, we in government have realized that we spend a lot of money as government, but the impact on the ground is not commensurate to the amount of money we spend. And part of that is because we do it in silos. And if we do it in silos, the impact is not felt on the ground. So that's why, as government, we have decided that we can't continue working in silos. We have to break the horizontal silos, because the silos in government are not just between governments. Sometimes they are even within a department. You get silos even within a department. So we have to break those silos. We also have to break the vertical silos between the spheres and work together. And that's why we then went for what we call the district development model, which means in a district, everybody must know what government is doing there, government as a whole. And not just government, but society as a whole. We should know what business is doing in that district, what NGOs are doing in that district, and government as a whole. And also we have realized that actually government can never succeed if local government doesn't succeed. Because the center of the universe of government should be local government. Because that's where people are. They are not at the national, they are not at the province, they are at the local. They experience government and its actions through local. And sometimes they ban the councillor's house for something that somebody at the national department should have done. So that's why it's so important that we must work together. And of course, we are also defining what we think would be an ideal local government. What should we be working towards? Because we can complain, the Auditor General is complaining, everybody can complain, but if we say we're going to have plans to assist local government, to assist them to achieve what? That's where we then decided that we must define so that as we assist, we know what we are assisting them towards. And of course, when we say local government, we don't mean just the municipality, we mean the geographical space and the people who live there. And we're saying that the people at a local level, one, there should be local economic development. And I'll come back to that in a while. But that the people who live there must live in a decent environment. And they must have human settlements that are resilient and can withstand disasters and calamities. And they must enjoy safety, especially women and children. Because if a place is safe for women and children, it will be safe for everyone. And also education, health, recreation facilities should be easily accessible. They must have access to clean water, dignified sanitation, quality transport, consistent energy, and electricity. Road networks, as well as information, communication, and technology services, as the Premier was saying. And they should be part of the fourth industrial revolution and have access to digitalization and also broadband. But most importantly also, they must be part of a vibrant economy that creates jobs, and they must be part of creating jobs themselves, ensuring that they have sustainable livelihoods and promote inclusiveness. They must have food security, as the Premier was saying, with fruit, vegetables. Why can't we have warm bread in our communities? Why can't we bake bread in our communities? I think we're the only country where we wait for a truck that comes hundreds of kilometers away to deliver bread. We must be able to bake bread in our municipalities. We have government feeds millions of school children every day, and they have to wait for trucks coming with bread from somewhere. Just one example of local economic development and local economic activity, just baking bread. You know, there was some unrest in the Northern Cape some years back, I think it was 2018. And after they closed the roads, the trucks couldn't come in. After 3 days, the communities went complaining that they don't have bread. From Khalishiwe, they didn't have bread because the trucks were not coming in. It's a huge township. We could be able to have a bakery and sell the bread there without waiting for the trucks. But that's how we are, because we are somehow addicted to monopolies. But let me move on. We need stability in those municipalities. But for all those things to happen, we need qualified, skilled, and competent civil servants, but also we need skilled citizens, because all these jobs that we're talking about need skills. So it's very important. And of course, talking to you, your children, grandchildren need those skills, need that education, need those skills. And of course, for the municipality itself, they need competent leadership, transparent and accountable leadership, which engages citizens. And of course, administration that is competent and can manage the resources and deliver the services. But let me just come back to local economic development. Without local economic development, this country's economy won't grow. We will always have this pedestrian kind of economy. It won't grow. Without local economic development, metros cannot do what they need to do, because they'll always have an influx of people from the rural areas who come to the cities not out of choice, but out of desperation. And then they come, they think they'll find shelter, they'll find water, sanitation. They don't. They end up in Imikuku. And then the metros have to try and just give the bare minimum. So rural development must be bringing infrastructure, urban infrastructure to the rural areas. There must be companies that are based in these rural areas. So we as COGTA feel very strongly about local economic development. But let me also say that we also feel very strongly about the skills revolution. MISA is going to talk later, so I won't dwell on that. But we do give scholarships on areas that affect us, like town planning, engineering, and so on. And maybe MISA must then look at the database of military veterans and see whether we can also get children from the military veterans' families to study that. But we also facilitating working closely together with TVETs, because we have realized that we will need those skills even for local economic development. So we're already working with TVETs like Moteo and 10 others, but we're also working with some of the universities to try and see what kind of skills we can produce. We are also looking at basic skills that municipalities need. You know, some municipalities don't even have sufficient plumbers, boiler makers, and just basic skills, maintenance of roads. So we are linking up with those institutions so that we can get those skills that will assist municipalities. But we stop talking without talking about what we feel very proud of, that we want to do and started some work. I don't know whether MISA will have the opportunity to talk about it. I just want to talk about the Eastern Seaboard development. As COGTA, we've said it's 20-something years of freedom. We've never built a single city ourselves. We are expanding, tinkering with cities that were built by apartheid. So we've decided that between Port St. John's and Margate, and between and the Drakensberg, in those areas, we are going to have multinodal or polycentric development that will include also building a city or even more than one. That area, I mean, can you believe in a modern country like South Africa, that from Buffalo City, East London, to Durban, 600 kilometers, there's no city. No city, no development. And that area is very rich in the history of our struggle, is very rich in our heritage. A lot of our leaders that we quote come from that area. What are they saying where they are when they look that there's nothing happening there? So we've decided to take 4 districts: OR, Tambo, Alfred Nzo, Ugu, and Herigwala. And 3 of those districts, Herigwala, Ugu, and OR, are amongst the 10 poorest districts in this country. So we've decided that we're going to have development there. It's beautiful coastline, flora and fauna, fertile land for agriculture. There's nothing, tourism, there's nothing there that you can't find. In the Eastern Seaboard, you don't even have one big fishing company. The big fishing companies are on the West Coast, not here. So those are some of the things we want to do. So all we would want to say in the limited time before Nonkonzo comes is that let's partner. Give us partners, because we have the CWP program, which we want to remodel. We want to remodel CWP. Instead of those CWP workers lying on the side of the road just cutting grass and all that, we want to remodel it so that we train them. We train them into co-ops. They start businesses, agriculture. You know, here in KZN, we import more than 1 million goats a year from outside KZN. More than 1 million goats a year. Why can't we keep those goats ourselves? But we've never thought of goats as a source of wealth. We only think of goats as a database to communicate with the ancestors. They are a big source of wealth. There's even a market outside for export. Goats, you get milk, you can do goat cheese, you get meat, you get leather, you can start a big leather tanning and leather industry. You get wool from Angora goats and you can start a big weaving. So just that one product, a goat, you can do so many things. So those are the things that we are planning now as COGTA as we try to remodel CWP. So please partner with us. You can also give us ideas. We don't have the monopoly of ideas. So if after your summit you can give us 1 or 2 people who must work with us, then we will see how we also contribute to you becoming self-sufficient and having a decent, dignified life without having to depend on government. I thank you.
elinye iculo esasilcula ngaphandle awuthi ngicabange ubani ongangisiza elithi baphuma bomama baye Angola baphuma bomama baye Angola bolanda inkululeko ise Angola bolanda inkululeko ise Angola oh baphuma bomama baye Angola baphuma bomama baye Angola bolanda inkululeko ise Angola bolanda. Okay, asizame elinye ke elithi haya babazi abafazi ubani ababazi abafazi